So we have some exciting programs coming up next week. Her Grace Malati Prabhu, Mother Malati, she'll be speaking to us at her Sunday Feast program. We also have 2 weeks after that, His Holiness Pratatvaja Maharaj will be speaking to us. We also have His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. He'll be speaking on both the 20th and for Disappearance Day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as well as he'll be speaking on Srila Prabhupada on the 12th.
Yes.
Jai Maharaj!
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
We're so great to see. We're so great to see you.
Thank you.
Have you
very
join us
much.
for
It's
our
not easy to get to Philadelphia.
for our virtual Sunday program.
Thank you very much.
We just showed darshan of the deities here. Shishi Gornitai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and Shishi Radha Sharad Bihari. And now we have you to speak to us wisdom from the Bhagavad-gita.
As it is.
As it is. Couple words of introduction I would like to share about Maharaj before he begins. Jayadvaita Maharaj, he was initiated into ISKCON by Srila Prabhupada in 1968. He served as assistant editor or editor for all of Srila Prabhupada's books, nearly all of Srila Prabhupada's books, that he wrote, compiled while he was on the planet. He also served as chief editor of Back to Godhead for several years, for about 7 years as well. He was the co-founder of the VIHE, the Vrindavan Institute for Higher Education. In addition to being an editor, he's also an author. He's written the book Vanity Karma and Ecclesiastes, the Bhagavad-gita, and the Meaning of Life. And he's a teacher. We've had him here in Philadelphia, many times in the past, and recently last July he was with us. But he travels, extensively around, giving lectures, seminars, universities, temples, educating devotees, and keeping it as it is. So we are very fortunate to have Maharaj join us here. Doesn't look like we'll be able to have him physically here in the temple, but for some time during the COVID period, but through the medium of Zoom, we have his association, and we're very eager to listen to his talk tonight on the Srimad Bhagavad-gita. So with that, Maharaj, we welcome you, and we're going to turn ourselves on mute to enhance the listening experience and to enhance your speaking experience. So the way it'll work afterwards, if you have a question, just write it in chat or raise your hand, but it'll come at the very end. In the meantime, everybody's on mute.
Okay. Although I don't mind if people ask questions in the middle on these electronic conferences, because otherwise things get very ethereal. So
okay,
let's see how it turns out.
Sure. So what we can do is we can, if we see somebody, if it looks like that time, you kind of give permission. We just want to make sure it's quiet in the background and there's no clanging of pots and pans.
Right. Okay. This is Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 2, text 49. Turena yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddho sharanam anvitscha kripana palahetavaha. O Dhananjay, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. And in that consciousness, surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. Purport. One who has actually come to understand one's constitutional engagements save working in Krishna consciousness. As already explained, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving to the Lord. Such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. Only misers desire to enjoy the fruits of their work, their own work, just to be further entangled in material bondage. Except for work in Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. One should therefore never desire to be the cause of work. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of Krishna. Misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches which they acquire by good fortune or by hard labor. One should spend all energies working in Krishna consciousness, and that will make one's life successful. Like misers, unfortunate persons do not employ their human energy in the service of the Lord. Om Jnanatmirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Koda Mahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deen Bandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I see ISKCON Philadelphia as the speaker here instead of me. Anyway.
We can see you, Maharaj.
You can, okay.
Yes.
Good. Kaivalya Prabhu can be seen also. Obeisances. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for being here. Durena Yavaram Karma Buddhi Yoga Dhananjay. Durena means at a long distance. And Avaram Karma means abominable activities. So Krishna says, keep these abominable activities far away. Abominable activities can be seen different ways. First of all, intoxication, gambling, meat eating, illicit sex, sinful activities. These are certainly avaram karma, abominable activities. And they should certainly be kept far away. We want to keep our distance from all these things. But Prabhupada also says that everything other than Krishna consciousness is abominable. All activities except for work in Krishna consciousness. Because it's disconnected from Krishna, it's abominable. There are two kinds of activities in karma kanda, activities in Gyanakanda. And Srila Narottam Das Thakur says that they're both abominable. Karmakanda, Gyanakanda, Karmakanda, Kevala Vishaya Bandha. They're like two pots of poison. Karmakanda, Gyanakanda. Anything other than pure devotional service should be kept at a distance. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va. I don't want money. I don't want followers. I don't want liberation. Mama Janmani Janmani Share Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoituki Tvai. I just want to be engaged in devotional service. In the third chapter, Yagyartat Karmanon Yatra, Loko Yam Karma Bandhana. Activities should be performed for the satisfaction of Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, Yagya. Yagyartat Karmana Anyatra Loko Yam Karma Bandhana. Otherwise, whatever we do will be binding, entangling, and therefore abominable. Therefore abominable. So, Durena Yavaram Karma. And how is it possible? Buddhi Yoga. By intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Buddhi, not just intelligence, Buddhi, but Buddhi Yoga. Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti Te. When one is engaged in the service of Krishna, Krishna gives one good intelligence, Yena Mam Upayanti Te, so that one can make progress on the path back home, back to Godhead. So, Buddho Sharanam, one should take shelter of this transcendental intelligence, not of material intelligence. That material intelligence won't help us. University degrees, a great education, erudition will not be of any use. But transcendental buddhi, spiritual intelligence, Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, that intelligence is very much wanted. And therefore, Buddhi Yoga, by Buddhi Yoga, one should keep one's, because how do we keep our distance from material activities? These activities are attractive for the conditioned soul. We want to do something. We have, as conditioned souls, we have an urge to enjoy. So how will we keep aloof from these attractions of the material world? Maya, Mama Maya Duratjaya. Maya is very powerful. Well, how will we stay aloof? But Krishna says, Buddhi Yoga, by spiritual intelligence. By spiritual intelligence. Buddho Sharanam Anvichcha. Anvichcha means try for it. Be serious and surrender to that Krishna consciousness. Or as Prabhupada translates it here, in that consciousness, surrender to Krishna. I think previous version said, surrender to that consciousness, which is also good. Surrender to that Krishna consciousness. Or here, Prabhupada, closer to what Prabhupada said, surrender to the Lord, to Krishna. Buddho Sharanam Anvichcha Kripana Palahetavaha. Because those who just who are working for the sake of getting some material results are misers. They've gotten this human form of life, but they don't know how to spend and how to invest the assets of this human life properly. And therefore, they're wrongly investing in temporary things, in immediate pleasures, not knowing or not taking into account. They know that these things are temporary. They have their own, they have their experience that these things simply cause trouble. Janiya Shuniya, they've heard, they know, but still Vishakwenu, they're drinking poison from these two pots, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda. So this is called miserly. Kripana Palahetava. One should spend one's energies working to satisfy Krishna. Otherwise, Kripana. And the other is Brahmana. Brahmana means one knows the absolute truth, one knows the personality of Godhead, and one acts for the sake of Krishna. Let's see if there's another point here. Only misers desire to enjoy the fruit of their own work just to be further entangled in material bondage. That's it. We desire to enjoy, but the result is that is misery. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayonya evate. Elsewhere, the Lord says that the happiness of sense gratification is actually a source of misery. This is like the key to understanding the material world. They think that if I just find the right formula, I can enjoy. I can be happy. I'm already somewhat happy. I could be fully or vastly, splendidly happy. But they don't know that the material world is put together in such a way that the happiness will have a beginning, it will have an end, and even in the middle, it will not satisfy one's desires. And rather, it gives misery. Kanduyanena koreyoriva dukkha dukkam. Trip yanti neha. Kripana bahudukha bhaja. Yanmaitunadi grihamedi sukham hitushcham. For the materialist, the materialistic householders, the headline pleasure is sex. Grihamedi sukham, which Bhagavatam says is tuchcham. It's insignificant. Yanmaitunadi grihamedi sukham hi tuchcham. Kanduyanena kariyor eva dukkha dukkam. It's like rubbing together our hands when we have an itch, scratching one hand with the other hand. And the result is eva dukkha dukkam. Misery upon misery. Trip yanti neha. One never becomes satisfied. Yes, now, no. Trip yanti neha kripana. Because one is in this miserly consciousness of wanting to exploit the resources of the material energy. Bahudukha bhaja. Simply misery and more misery. So the dhira, the saint, the sober person who's actually intelligent turns away from that path of sense gratification and turns toward the path of serving Krishna. Some sense gratification is required because we have this body, but that also should be in the context of serving Krishna, not a separate program. Let me serve Krishna, my senses will automatically be satisfied. I don't have to do something independent. Let me simply engage in Krishna's service. And when Krishna is satisfied, I'll also be satisfied. When we pour water on the root of the tree, the branches, the leaves all become satisfied. When we feed the stomach, all the senses of the body are satisfied. So when we serve Krishna, then we'll be satisfied on all accounts. let's stop here and see what kind of questions there might be, if any.
If anybody has any questions, you can add in the chat. We don't have, we have a manageable amount of participants, I would say. So if anybody, they could speak forward as well.
We have Haryashra Prabhu, I see. Nice.
Maharaji, we do not have question, but it's wonderful going on. Please continue. As you mentioned, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, ma jagdish kame. So you explained in this context, saying that Buddha saranam anviksha. So in that context, also you mentioned janiya, sunya, visay, khaniya. So by knowing we are keep on entangled in the material pool, and we are keep on doing the same mistake over and over again. So please go ahead, Maharaji. So it's
therefore we have to associate with sadhus. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi, Sarva Shastra Koi, Labha Matra Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. By, what is that elsewhere? Mahat Sevam Dwaramahur Vimukte. By serving the great soul, by serving an advanced devotee, one approaches the doors of liberation, freedom from material existence. So we'll remain stagnant unless we associate with pure devotees. Ideally, we can associate in person, or we can associate by their words of instruction, but one way or another, we should associate with saintly persons and keep the association of devotees. Tandera Charana Shebi, Bhakta Sanivas. That will enable us to advance quickly. Everything by association. By association, by association. On our own, it will be very difficult to make progress. Ekaki amar nahi pai bola, harinama sankirtane. On our own, it will be very difficult. Therefore, Sankirtan movement, in association with devotees, even in the midst of the pandemic, we reach out and we get the association of devotees by one means or another. Because on our own, we'll find it difficult. Of course, we're never alone. Krishna is everywhere. But we more tangibly experience Krishna's presence in the association of devotees. I've been listening to classes by Indra Maharaj the last few days. Such wonderful Krishna Katha, Vrindavan, Leela Katha. And there's so many options now on the internet. Any day you can tune in to any station and get real nectar. It's such a relief from the Gramya Katha of useless Facebook sites, or this site, that site, where Prajalpa is the mainstay. Not always Prajalpa, but so often Prajalpa. But just to be able to hear pure Krishna Katha is so nice. This brings relief, like it's described elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, like rain, autumn rain on a pool of water. Just clarifies the water, all the muds and dirt sinks down to the bottom, and you have nice, clear water. Well, the Krishna Katha will have that effect. The heart will feel, Yayatma suprasidati, will feel very satisfied. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata. Mind will become happy. Otherwise, in material consciousness, our mind is upadruta, disturbed, and our life is unfortunate. And we become overcritical, we become bitter, we become dissatisfied, we become frustrated, we become this, we become that. But if we just regularly hear Krishna Katha and associate with devotees, then we're lifted. We're uplifted to the transcendental platform. And on the transcendental platform, there are no problems. On the material world, there's every problem, and they can't be stopped. As soon as we stop one problem or get a hold of one problem, the next problem comes. But on the spiritual platform, there are no problems. We have experienced that Prabhupada would come somewhere, this temple or that temple, and I or others would have so many issues to bring to Prabhupada. This person, that person, this, that. What to do, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would come and say, is everything all right? He'd greet you, is everything all right? And as soon as he'd say that, you'd think about it, like not even think about it, but immediately, yes, Prabhupada, everything's all right. And it would be. Because just by Prabhupada's association, we would come to the spiritual platform, and the thinking process would hardly take a moment. Whatever those issues were would suddenly dissolve into insignificance. Like a dream. In a dream, you can have serious problems. You can be chased by a tiger. You can be hunted down by the police. This can happen, that can happen. So many frightening dangers. But as soon as you start to wake up, the problems, the disasters, the calamities, the threats disappear. On the material platform, there are so many fears, there are so many anxieties, there are so many conflicts, there's so many disturbances. But when we come to the transcendental platform, then the heart becomes happy, mind becomes purified, Buddha Sharanam Anvichcha, one can take shelter of transcendental intelligence. It's such a nice thing.
I think we have another question from Mother Sudevi. Mother Sudevi?
I don't even see her on there. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. We have Mother Shamaguri has her hand raised. Mother Shamaguri, please go ahead.
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, in this verse, there is a line where, where it says, misers do not know how to utilize the assets of riches, which they acquired by good fortune or by hard labor. Will you, please kindly elaborate this line?
Only misers desire to enjoy
Yeah.
the fruit of their own work, just to be further entangled in material bondage.
Yeah.
Ma karma pala hetur bhur ma te sangost karmani. Krishna says you have a right to work, but ma paleshu kadachana, not to the results. Just like a bank teller. Bank teller has a right to work, but doesn't have the right to start pocketing the deposits. That belongs to the bank. The teller gets to do the work, but the money belongs to the bank, not to the teller. So everything belongs to Krishna, and he's the enjoyer. Bhokta cha prabhureva cha. He's the Lord, he's the enjoyer. When we try to become the enjoyers, then it doesn't work. What happens instead is that we become entangled. Yagyartat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhana. When we desire to be the cause of the work, that is when we work for our own cause, for our own project, for our own happiness, we become entangled. we become entangled. And when we work for Krishna's cause, Krishna's purpose, Krishna's happiness, we become free. So therefore, everything should be done for Krishna. That's intelligent. When Krishna's happy, I'll be happy. But if I start my own project for independent happiness, I won't be satisfied. Tripyanti neha. Is that okay?
Yeah, and other thing is like when we say like we should be spending all energies working in Krishna consciousness, immediately the things like you sannyasis and brahmacharis, they're working
You're muted somehow.
it's not-
Now I think you're okay again. Hello?
yeah, thing is like when we say like spending all energy.
Now you muted yourself again. Go ahead.
Yeah, Maharajas are you sannyasis and brahmacharis, like they are spending all energies for Krishna. And as a householder, we think like maybe some portion we are spending for Krishna and others we keep for our for living and those things. So is that we come under miser?
Yes, householders are generally misers.
How can we not become miser?
You have to think like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Manasa deha geha yo kichumor arpilu tuapade nandakishore. That my mind, my body, my home, whatever is supposed to be mine, yo kichumor arpilu tuapade nandakishore. I offer to you, Nandakishore. It shouldn't be a separate project. This is Krishna's project. This is my project. This is for the temple. This is for me. Everything should be done for Krishna, including family life. One should see that the husband or wife, the children, they're all Krishna's servants. Everybody is to be engaged, or yes, everybody is to be treated as a servant of Krishna. That doesn't mean, yes, according to their position, the children are to be protected for Krishna's service, educated for Krishna's service, and so on. Not that Krishna's shut out of any particular department. Okay, Krishna, I put in my time for you. Now this is the time for me. The time for me should not be a separate time. That should also be for Krishna. Otherwise, it will be the source of entanglement. The tendency in householder life is to drift toward, let me be happy. And that slows us down. Therefore, it said, Atmapatam grihamandakupam. The householder life becomes a dark well that impedes our spiritual advancement. But when we dedicate everything to Krishna, then we get out of the miserly mentality and the householder life becomes nice.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Something else?
No, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Sham Gauri.
Maharaj, this is Vrindavaneshwar. I do have a question just to expand on what you said about time should always be for Krishna and never take time for yourself. It should always be for Krishna. Is there a way that, relaxing or just, doing something outside to just clear your head, is that also time for Krishna because you're getting your center space again in order to feel more?
That should be done for Krishna. What is that? Yuktahara viharascha yogo bhavati dukkha. If there's some relaxation time, which there has to be something like that. You can't always be in high gear. So that relaxation time should also be for Krishna. Of course, our best relaxation is Krishna Katha, chanting Hare Krishna, associating with devotees. Go walk somewhere, chant Hare Krishna. That's the best thing. Otherwise, if we want to relax by sitting down with a good work of fiction and sort of unwinding, that may unwinding, but it will also cause some in the system somewhere. If we think, okay, this is my break from Krishna consciousness, I need a break, like with material work. I've been working hard and now I need a break. So we may need a change of pace in Krishna consciousness, but it shouldn't be that for that change of pace, I drop out for a while.
That makes sense. Thank you, Maharaj.
Mm-hmm. And it's tricky because there's all sorts of things that want to pull us away and say, come on, you could use a break, you could use a little fiction, you could use some newspaper kata, you could use some prajalpa, you could use some, you name it, whatever it is. But as aspiring devotees, we should try to control our minds, control our activities, so that everything will be dedicated to Krishna. But again, with variety, you can't study all day, you can't work all day, you can't distribute books all day and night. Some change of pace is needed. All right, now we'll relax, we'll take prasadam, we'll hear some Krishna book or something. We'll take a little rest even. Then we'll go out. So in this way, everything regulated, everything not fanatical, but normal. We need to eat, we need sufficient rest, we need a little relaxation, but it should all be connected with Krishna.
Okay, so I have a follow-up to that then.
Okay.
If, let's say, because I'm far from anything close to a pure devotee, if I occasionally do read something fictional or watch like a documentary or something like that, that's not Krishna consciousness. But if because my conditioned mind, because the first 30 some years of my life were in that world, that sometimes it helps me make connections, which I often find, like I'll be reading a book and it'll remind me of something in my Krishna consciousness life that I'll say, wow, I see this in myself and I can really pull myself out of this now because I see this person doing something and I don't want to do that. And I know it sounds strange, but it's like sometimes I'll like read something, I'll see someone doing something and I'll say, wow, I see that behavior in myself and now I want to change it. And then I reflect on my Krishna consciousness. I don't know if that's...
Well, if we're fortunate, we all do that. If we read the newspaper, we make some Krishna conscious connection. If we watch a documentary, we make some Krishna conscious connection. If we go to the circus, we make a Krishna conscious connection. If we go watch a movie, we make a Krishna conscious, because we have that culture of Krishna consciousness. But the problem is that these other things, although we'll ideally see them in some sort of connection, they're also connecting us the other way.
It's a two-way street, huh?
Two-way street. So it's tricky, and
Yeah.
and Maya's tricky. It's not that who among us doesn't get caught in these things, and the modern setup is really geared toward it. You've got everybody and their uncle trying to draw you in, especially on the internet. There's highly paid professionals just trying to figure out ways to keep you engaged, because the more engaged you are, the more you're worth to the advertisers. So this way or that way. And then we start off with 10 minutes of relaxation, and the next thing we know, it's an hour. I know when Back to Godhead was in San Diego, at that time, there was no newspaper worthy of the name. And even the Los Angeles Times was a real rag. For anyone who'd grown up in New York reading the New York Times, the newspapers available there were just pitiful. And there we are in San Diego, and this free offer comes that you can get, I forget how many weeks, of the New York Times delivered to your door. So somebody in our office signed up, and then the New York Times would come every day. and the layout man would read it and then pass it on to one of the editors. He would read it. And then the next editor, I would read it. This one would read it. And you can't go through the New York Times in 5 minutes because it's well written. It's interesting. There's so much there. It's really well done. It's not a West Coast rag. So next thing you know, it's 45 minutes, maybe an hour that you spent on the New York Times to no profit, really. So we were losing like 5 hours a day among the staff, just on the New York Times. And everybody, we're keeping up with current events because it helps keep us in touch for preaching and all of that. But really, we were just wasting our time until we finally canceled the subscription. So Maya's subtle, Maya's good at it. And Maya has paid professionals just trying to pull you in. So Kali Yuga is like that. There's so many things trying to pull us in and keep us in. And maybe persuade us even that whatever we're doing is devotional service, or it's for Krishna, or it helps me be a better devotee or a better person. And when I'm a better person, I can be a better devotee. There's so many things. So we need to be very careful.
Thank you. I just got a question from Sue Davy. She's watching on YouTube. And she said, Bhagavad-gita 6:17, what is the meaning of recreation?
Good question. Six 17. See if, first of all, Prophet says something about it. I don't see anything about recreation in the purport. Let's see, let me just look in my Acharya commentaries and see if we have something. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glosses it as walking. One who controls eating and walking. Ahara viharasya. Just reminds me that my doctors say that walking is the best exercise. Let's see if Baladev Pidibhushan says something. Yes, same thing. For one who is with regulated eating and recreation, with controlled actions of the sense organs, such as speaking, related to spiritual and mundane duties, with regulated sleeping and waking. Okay, so he just talks about yukta swapna vibodhasya, but in Vishwanath we find it walking. Prabhupada did that kind of recreation every day. That was one of the few things that he did for his health, was that every day he walked. And that's good medical advice. We're just hearing from Dwarkadish Prabhu from Bhaktivedanta Hospital yesterday on the Tuako channel. And he was talking about spiritual and material health. And that was one of his points. He's made the same point to me because he's my doctor, that to keep your metabolism, to keep things going, you need to have some activity. The modern world accustoms us to sitting. You sit behind a desk, you sit at a computer screen. You sit here, you sit there, and you get fat, or you get, in any case, what's the word? Well, you get sedentary, certainly. That's, you remain sedentary. And the systems, therefore, has nothing to keep it going. There's nothing to burn your carbohydrates, nothing to stoke the flames. So we just sit, and the machine becomes old. You see these village people in India or elsewhere, and they're like going strong in old age because they're accustomed to being active. They walk, they work, they do this, they do that. They don't sit behind desks all day. So Dwarkadish Prabhu was emphasizing that we should do something physical, something that keeps us moving a bit. We can sit, that's all right, but then we should also do something active. So walking, that's how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glosses vihar. Let me just see if that's one more thing. Yes, that's the literal meaning given in the Moyer-Williams Sanskrit dictionary. Walking for pleasure or amusement, wandering, roaming. So that's how Baladev gives it, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives it, walking. There's your recreation. And Prabhupada added one more recreation, dancing. He said that's the best recreation, to dance in the kirtan. You solve so many yoga bhavati dukkha. You get free from all miseries by dancing in the kirtan. Is that okay? Thank you for that, Sudevi. I don't sort of wondered about that myself, but I'd never really looked it up. So you've done us a favor. Thank you. Vihar means walking. Recreation. Football, basketball, cricket doesn't get in there. Aryashva looks happy, as usual. You're muted. Everyone's muted, but me.
Mute. There, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Hare Krishna, please set my humble obeisance, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
You spoke about so many things so nicely. You spoke about surrendering with spiritual intelligence. And I had a question in that direction, but then as you explained the situation of the person, the whole New York Times situation, I was thinking, what if we want to surrender with our intelligence, but we find that we don't have that spiritual intelligence? What does that look like?
Therefore, the association of devotees is so valuable, because like in these wars, Vietnam or this one or that one, who do the enemies, the guerrilla fighters pick off? It's the stragglers, right? They don't attack the main column. They just pick off the stragglers from the back. So in that way, when we're alone, then it's easier. Just me and my laptop, me and Maya, me and my mind. So it's easier for Maya to get at me. But if I'm associating with devotees, that means actually with devotees, not just hangout association for blah, blah, prajalpa. But when I'm associating with devotees, serving with devotees, then that service and that association protects me from Maya. There's a passage in Ecclesiastes. Let's find it. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has no one to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have warmth. But how can one be warm alone? And though an attacker might prevail against one man alone, two will withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. You know, you have those cords that tie ships up where there's three cords together, and they're powerful, they're strong. So the association of devotees is like that. If we're alone, then Maya can pick us off. It's sort of, this is interesting, that's interesting, this is, I wonder about this, I wonder about that. Even if you're not doing anything, the mind is just drifting, and Maya is starting to be like snow falling on the ground, gradually blanketing the earth. But if we're associating with devotees, then Majchita Magata Prana, Bodhyanta Parasparam, they're talking to one another about Krishna, enlightening one another about Krishna, Katyantaschamam Nityam, always talking about Krishna, and Tushanti Cha Ramanti Cha, creating a relishable atmosphere. Satatam Kirtiyanto Maham, they're always chanting about me. Yatantas Cha Drita Vrita, working with great determination. So in that association, Krishna consciousness is easy to do. It becomes the natural way. And even if I have a tendency to get distracted, somebody else say, hey, Haryashva, come on. Hey, Maharaj, come on. And we get pulled back into Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we're advised to keep the association of devotees, especially devotees who are more advanced than we are, because they'll keep us buoyant, they'll keep us afloat. Is that okay? You're muted again. Click, yeah. Should be an icon on your lower left that you can unmute yourself with. No? Or from Central, they can unmute you. John, can you unmute? Oh, there you go. Harry,
There you go. You got it. You just did it.
Sorry. I'm on my phone, so it's.
Sorry?
I said I'm on my phone, so it's a little more difficult for me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Uh,
Small controls. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions that we have out there? From any of the devotees? So Ram Kumar, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, just you very well explained about like the association of devotee. Again, coming back to that, in the last question also we were covering, you covered a bit more on that. So coming to like in the COVID-19, what corona epidemic going on in this situation, association with devotees, is this okay what we are going on the Zoom, or something better we can do, like as we are
Well, there's
already
always something better, but it's really quite great. Like when you're finished with me here, if you want, you can get the last half hour of Urmila on Radha Govinda Mandir's channel. At 6 o'clock, I'll be speaking again in Tuaco. Who else is there tonight? Let's see. Somebody else is tonight also. Hold on. 7 o'clock. Okay, I'm at 7. Ananda Vrindavan and Braja Bihari on the 6. I'm at 7 at CNJ. And you've already had whatever you could get out of me here on the Philadelphia channel. So you've got, now devotees are starting to complain there's so many sanghas I can't, it's hard, I'm having a hard time choosing. Ambarasta Riche.
It's a good problem to have.
Yes. So there's no, it's for the devotees, the coronavirus has been quite kind in many ways. We're getting more association. I know I'm giving more classes than I usually give when I'm traveling, and I don't have to, and then no wear and tear on the system, you know. I can stay in one place and give a class in Istanbul, give a class in London, give a class in Philly, give a class in this place and that place, and then listen to so many classes. I'm listening, I think I mentioned, I'm listening to Indra Maharaj's classes. They're just wonderful from Vrindavan. So there's just, if we stay, what's the word, immersed in these things, we'll have a great time.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
This is Aniruddha. I'm from New York
Aniruddha.
City.
Sir.
Dhanavad, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, my question is when we meditate on Lord, there are different aspects of meditation or to get consciousness about Krishna. Like some people, they think about Lord's pastimes. Some of them, they think about Lord's look. Some of them, they think about or meditate upon Lord's name, and some of them, they think about the Lord's quality. So my question is which one is the better, which is the best feature to focus on, and how we should think about it?
Main thing is chanting, because the mind in this age is to meditate will be difficult. To keep the mind fixed on Krishna's form, or to keep the mind fixed, that's what the yogis do. The advanced yogis fix their mind. You can read in second canto, in the lotus feet of the Lord, and then traveling up the different features of his body. So they can do that, but for us that will be more difficult. So the best thing for us is chanting and hearing. And the chanting and hearing will nourish the other things. Then we'll think of Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. It's not that these things are shut out or that we don't, but if we just try to meditate in the present age, that will be more difficult.
Maharaj, meditate in the sense that, like when we read Bhagavatam or when we read Bhagavad-gita or any of such literature, some philosophy, like some of feature, it really makes us that we need to think about that. We need to think separately for this issue or this quality to understand it well. So so my question is there are so many features. Some of relates to the pastime of the Lord. Some of them relates to name, fam, and other qualities. So which feature is the best to focus on? Which can give us the best?
No, everything. If you're reading the books, then just read and follow along. Not that we're going to scan the books and say, okay, where are the parts about his form? Or where are the parts about his qualities? Just read and everything will be there. Like sitting down for lunch, full thali, there's the rice there, the dal is there, the chutney is there.
Okay. All right. So it doesn't mean that a particular kind of quality which it's more impressive or it's easy to understand or it's more digestive. It's all have equal values wherever you go through.
Krishna is absolute. So his name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes, his abode, they're all identical. Everything in everything.
Right. But Maharaj, in some of the quality, it has broad philosophy or some something very huge. Like when we talk about how this universe was formed and how many different forms are there to maintain this universe, and what exact story behind Krishna and this all different creatures and everything. It takes our consciousness in different direction. And when we hear about Krishna's pastime, we feel that we are more close to Krishna. Even sometimes when I did Bhagavatam, some of chapter, I really think that I am far away from Krishna. There's all chapter, they are not taking me in that way. But when I finish those chapters, then I get connected. So
That's natural, but we should patiently go through the whole
okay.
text.
Okay,
It's there for a reason. It purifies our understanding so that when we do hear about Krishna's Vrindavan Leela and such topics, we have a purified understanding.
All right, Maharaj. Dandavad. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, we're here at 5:35. I guess if we have any last question, we can take it now. From anyone? I don't see any hands up here. Maharaj, if I could, I wanted to ask one the word abominable that's used in this verse. And so in Philadelphia, as well as many major cities in the United States, yesterday there was, protests that were going on in the streets, and some of those protests turned quite violent. In Philadelphia, there's, fights breaking out, apartment buildings were, put on fire, cars, set on fire, police station was set on fire, etc. And people could look at that and say, now that's an abominable action. That is, if I would ask my parents, they would say that's abominable. But what's being spoken about here, is it that drastic of a measure when we say abominable?
Well, it just says abominable, and you could say, well, that means, as I said in the beginning, illicit sex is abominable, meat eating is abominable, intoxication. But then Prabhupada glosses it, anything disconnected from Krishna is abominable. So that's yeah. Anything disconnected from Krishna is finally abominable because it has no substance, or it represents a departure from our natural engagement, natural duty. So it's all just like you're a government servant, but you go take the government car and go for a joyride somewhere. So someone says, well, what's wrong with that? They're just having a good time, but it's abominable because that's a government car and you're not authorized to do that, and it doesn't serve the government's purposes, and the taxpayers are paying for your fun. So that's also rejected. So then it just becomes a question of degree, what's abominable, what's more abominable. But the way Prabhupada's glossed it here, anything that's disconnected from the truth is a falsehood and therefore abominable.
Thank you for the clarification and explanation.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Maharaj.
How are you all doing over there, by the way, in Philly?
Good. Everybody's healthy. The devotees are being taken care of. The devotees are all healthy and safe. The deities are being taken care of very nicely. The grounds are being maintained, and our programs are going on. We have a morning Bhagavatam program that is grown.
Online morning Bhagavatam program.
Yes. And throughout the in the evening, there's some other programs that are hosted by different members of the community, as well as all the other programs like you've mentioned that are going on. So I think the Shravanam and Kirtanam are definitely growing during this time period.
Excellent.
It's a time period that's given us a chance to pause, and reflect a little bit. That when we do kind of emerge from this COVID period and come together, there can be a little bit more focus, I think, in our activities and organization.
Good. By the way, there's a new website, mantrabreak.com. It's just mellow kirtan, because we've been hearing that people are all stressed by the coronavirus and quarantine and all of that. So they can just plug into this site, and that's all there is going on all the time, is recorded kirtan, very mellow, very sweet, and they can just plug in and decompress. So you can recommend that to people, outsiders especially. And the site doesn't have any heavy message. Just hear the mantra, you'll feel better.
Wonderful.
Mantra break. We'll definitely take a look at that. And
we were
make it
asking
available.
about this as recreation.
We hope you're coming back soon.
I was hoping I wasn't going to have to come back, but back to Philadelphia. Yes, that would be nice. Thank you. All right.
That's good.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. So we have
Hare
a group
Krishna.
that's on YouTube. We also want to give a shout out to them. So we have the Zoomers, and we also have the YouTubers. So initially we were doing all YouTube, and some people are slow to transition to the Zoom platform. So we have a group that's also on YouTube right now. And also all these are being recorded and saved to the ISKCON Philadelphia YouTube channel. So you can tell your friends that if they didn't get a chance to tune in, they can listen to this a little bit later. Again, Maharaj, we'd like to thank you. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Happy chanting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Krishna
And anybody,
Maharaj.
and yeah. And if anybody wants, one last thing, Maharaj, you give Bhagavatam class every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at ISKCON Tawako on their channel at 8 o'clock. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So if you want to, listen to Maharaj, that's where you can find him. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, ISKCON Tawako. I've tuned in. It's very informative, and I encourage everybody to take that opportunity.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
A couple exciting things I want to mention that are going on at ISKCON of Philadelphia today. We received our first shipment of vegetables from Gita Nagari Dham. The CSA Sustained Agricultural Program that they're doing. Philadelphia is participating in it this year. So if you have vegetables that need to be picked up, you can come by the temple if you ordered them. Those who have not signed up but are interested, you can please reach out to me, and we can get you the information. Also from ISKCON Gita Nagari, we've taken the step to get a cow. So we want to get a couple more, but this is the first step in getting ahimsa milk. Gita Nagari currently is, all their cows are spoken for as far as the milk that they produce. They're going to customers already. So in order to get milk, we had to actually purchase a cow. So we've taken that step. Our goal is to get 4 cows, and we feel that would be enough to supply Radheshwar Bihari and Lord Jagannath and Gaur Nitai, as well as the devotees in the community that want to purchase milk. So if you'd like to contribute to this wonderful project of transitioning ISKCON of Philadelphia to an ahimsa milk temple, again, please, we need your. This is something that we need your support, and we need everybody to kind of collectively come in. Also, tonight is with the Sunday program. We've reintroduced the prasadam distribution that's been on hold during the COVID period. So the prasadam is available for pickup. Those of you who have RSVP'd, at 6:15, we will start to distribute the prasadam through curbside pickup, similar to what we did for Nishringa Chaturdasi and Ram Nomi. Coming up next week, we have Mother Malati Prabhu, very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. She'll be speaking to us at our Sunday program. And then on June 12th and June 20th, we have His Holiness Giriraj Swami, who will be speaking. So you don't want to miss them. And then also on June 21st, we have Ritatvaja Maharaj will be speaking on questions and answers. He's just going to be taking questions and we'll be answering. So he's requesting questions up front so we can go a little bit more smoothly. So if you got some questions that you've been thinking about, write them down, send them in to me, and we'll get them over to Maharaj for that program.
Can you fill me in? Send me the links and the times and everything.
We will. Yes, definitely, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, with that, we will close our program for this evening. And we wish everybody stay healthy, stay safe, and keep chanting Hare Krishna and be happy.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Chakra Prabhu, Chakra Pasindhu, Chakra Vitanam, Pavana, Vaishnava.
Yeah.